In the pantheon of martial arts cinema, few matchups ignite the imagination quite like Bruce Lee versus Bolo Yeung. It's a clash of titans, the lithe, lightning-fast philosopher warrior against the hulking, muscle-bound enforcer whose very presence screams raw power. This isn't some fever dream from a fan forum or a what-if scenario cooked up in a comic book. No, this showdown actually happened. On screen, at least in one of the most iconic films ever made, Enter the Dragon. But what really went down? Was it scripted perfection, a brutal ballet of fists and fury, or something more human, laced with sweat, egos, and the unyielding grind of filmmaking? Drawing from the raw energy of classic breakdowns, like those epic YouTube deep dives into Hollywood's hidden histories, let's peel back the layers. We'll journey from the streets of Hong Kong to the misty islands of 70s action lore, uncovering the myth, the man, and the muscle that made this fight legendary. Buckle up. This is the unfiltered tale of Bruce versus Bolo. The setup. A dragon awakens in a world of shadows. To understand the fight, you have to step into the humid haze of 1972 Hong Kong. Bruce Lee, at 32, was no longer just a sidekick in Hollywood chop-socky flicks like The Green Hornet. He'd bounced back from career setbacks, including a back injury that nearly paralyzed him, by penning letters to Warner Brothers, pleading for a shot at stardom. Any further display of temper on your part will terminate you from the production. One exec had warned him years earlier. But Bruce was a force of nature, philosophically sharp as a nunchaku, physically a blur of speed and precision. His Jeet Kune Do wasn't just a style. It was a rebellion against rigid traditions, a way of the intercepting fist that blended Wing Chun, boxing, fencing, and whatever worked. Enter the Dragon, a Warner Brothers Golden Harvest co-production that would catapult Lee into immortality. Directed by Robert Klaus, the film was a deliberate fusion of Eastern mysticism and Western grit, shot on location in Hong Kong to capture that authentic edge. The plot? Lee infiltrates a martial arts tournament on Han's private island to avenge his sister's death and bust a drug ring. It's Bond meets Kung Fu, with mirrored halls, underground layers, and enough slow-motion kicks to make your retinas burn. Now, cue Bolo Yeung. Born in 1946 in Guangzhou, China, as Chung Wing-Fai, Bolo wasn't born with a silver spoon, he was forged in the fires of street survival. A former Mr. Hong Kong bodybuilding champion in 1960, he traded barbells for fists early on. By his teens, Bolo was a bouncer in seedy nightclubs, cracking skulls for a living. His physique? A sculpted nightmare. 5'10" of veined granite, arms like pythons, and a glare that could curdle milk. He wasn't just strong, he was menacing. In interviews later, Bolo would chuckle about his wild youth. "I fought tigers in the ring, metaphorically speaking." But in reality, his early career was a blur of underground bouts and bit parts in Shaw Brothers films, where he played silent thugs who snapped necks like twigs. The two men's paths crossed when casting director Fred Weintraub spotted Bolo in a Hong Kong gym. "We need a monster," Weintraub reportedly said. Bolo, then 26, auditioned with a simple demo, lifting weights that made the crew gasp, then shadowboxing with the ferocity of a caged animal. Bruce, ever the purist, was skeptical at first. "Strength without speed is useless," he'd quip, echoing his Tao of Jeet Kune Do mantra. But Bolo's raw power intrigued him. They sparred lightly during rehearsals, Bruce dodging like a ghost, Bolo swinging haymakers that whistled through the air. No blood was drawn, but respect was forged. "He's a beast," Bruce told a friend. But beasts can be tamed. Before we dive into the fight itself, let's address the elephant, or should I say, the dragon. In the room, the endless rumors. Fans love to whisper that Bruce and Bolo really threw down off camera, a no-holds-barred grudge match that left one humbled. It's the stuff of barroom debates. Did Bolo's brute force overwhelm Lee's finesse? Was there a secret rematch in a Kowloon alley? Martial arts coordinator Han Soo-yun designed the sequence with input from Bruce, who insisted on authenticity. "No wires, no cuts, just us," Lee demanded. Bolo, drawing from his street fighting days, added improvised menace. A growl here, a shoulder check there. The crew whispered about the day they almost killed each other. but it was hyperbole. In truth, the biggest blows were to egos. Bruce's perfectionism clashed with Bolo's improvisational chaos. Once, during a take, Bolo accidentally clipped Bruce's shoulder with a roundhouse. Lee winced but laughed it off. Next time, aim for the mirror. No hospital visits, no feuds, just two pros pushing limits. What fueled the myths? Timing, mostly. Enter the Dragon dropped weeks after Bruce's untimely death on July 20, 1973. From cerebral edema. At 32, the Dragon was gone, leaving a void that mythmakers rushed to fill. Bolo, ever the survivor, leaned into it, posing for muscle and fitness covers, regaling fans with tales of, "That time I almost suplexed Bruce." In a 2018 interview, he admitted, "We were friends. The fight was movie magic, but the sweat was real. Yet, the legend endures, because it's better that way." A David versus Goliath for the ages, where skill duels strength in eternal stalemate. Let's break down the fight itself, that 3-minute maelstrom in Han's Hall of Mirrors. It's the film's climax, a visual symphony scored to Lalo Schifrin's pulsating jazz funk. The setup is pure cinema. Lee, clad in black silk, stalks through a labyrinth of infinite reflections. Han's goons are dispatched in flashes, nunchaku twirls, 1-inch punches crumpling ribs. Then, from the shadows, emerges Bolo as Parsons, Han's enforcer. No introduction needed. His oiled torso and dragon tattoo scream, "Final boss." "You have insulted my lord and master," Bolo snarls in his gravelly accent, cracking knuckles like gunfire. The bell tolls, and it's on. Bruce circles like a panther, eyes locked on Bolo's massive frame. First exchange, Bolo lunges with a bear hug, arms wrapping like steel cables. Lee slips free with a Jeet Kune Do sidestep, countering with a finger jab to the throat, straight out of his Wing Chun roots. The camera catches Bolo's wince. It's real discomfort, not acting. "Too slow," Lee taunts, echoing his real-life philosophy. Bolo adapts, channeling his bodybuilding explosiveness. He charges with a clothesline that shatters a mirror, shards flying like deadly confetti. Lee vaults over it, landing a flying sidekick to Bolo's midsection. Thud, the impact reverberates, Bolo's abs absorbing it like a sponge. But pain flickers in his eyes. Later, he'd say it bruised his solar plexus for days. Retaliation. Bolo grabs a jagged mirror fragment, slashing wildly. Lee parries with forearms, the clink of glass on bone adding gritty realism. No stunt doubles here. Both men pulled from their arsenals. Bruce's speed keeps him untouchable. Bolo's power turns every miss into environmental destruction. Mid-fight pivot. The mirrors multiply the chaos, creating doppelgangers that disorient. Over 50 years later, Bruce vs. Bolo resonates. It birthed MMA's hybrid ethos. Ronda Rousey cites Lee's fluidity. Brock Lesnar channels Bolo's power. Remakes? Endless. Rush Hour nods. Ip Man homages. Bolo, now 79, still hits the gym, a living relic. Bruce's shadow looms eternal. His fight with Bolo a microcosm of his life. Brief, brilliant, unbreakable. So, what really happened? A scripted symphony that felt alive, two warriors dancing on the edge of legend. No myths needed, the truth punches harder. In a world of filters and fakes, this fight reminds us, sometimes, the greatest battles are the ones we choreograph together.